What would you do if someone you loved was the victim of a cruel and violent act? How easily could one's mind tip toward violent retribution? How far would you go to bring the people responsible to justice? If you were successful, how would it change you? Would you ever be the same? With The Last of Us Part 2, we set out to create an experience that explores these difficult questions. The darkest side of human nature and the vicious cycles of violence that we witness in the world around us on a daily basis. Neil Druckmann. The Last of Us Part 2 is the darkest game I have ever played. As a huge fan of the first game, this game took me on a journey that crushed my heart over and over again. But in the end, it was all these pain and suffering that reminded me of the deep love in the first game. Initially, right after finishing Part 2, I was conflicted. As a creative, what they are able to achieve in this game was nothing but masterful. Everything they wanted me to feel, I felt so deeply. But emotionally, I hated what I experienced. Never have I ever played a game that made me feel the amount of grief, pain, sadness, and guilt like The Last of Us Part 2. The sadness and grief you feel when Joel dies, and the guilt you feel when you see the hospital in Abby's first flashback. Seeing Ellie going down this dark path of revenge while feeling more and more empathetic and guilty towards Abby. I hated all of it emotionally, and I can understand why others do too. However, in this dark and long journey of violence and loss, the ending keeps lingering in my mind, like a missing part trying to piece out the whole. At the end of the game, we finally learn Ellie's true motivation. There were many parts of Ellie's story that didn't make sense at first, like how obsessed she is with revenge, how blinded she is with hatred. The Ellie we know from the first game would not have taken it to this degree, even with the way Joel died. So as we go through the 4 days of killing, seeing her character getting less and less human, we become less empathetic to her. And this is clearly designed on purpose. We need to at least feel some guilt as Ellie so that we have enough room to empathize with Abby in the second half of the game. But in this final flashback, we realize that after 2 years of not speaking to Joel for what he did, Ellie finally decided to try to forgive him. She even talked about a movie night with him to dinner very early in the game, right before Joel died.
What are you doing tonight?
I was thinking of inviting Joel to watch a movie.
Oh. You guys good?
Yeah.
What movie you guys gonna watch?
So we finally see that the injustice of Joel's death was not the only reason why Ellie is so obsessed. It was also because she realized how much she really loved him, and how she will never get the chance to forgive him now. She is raged by Joel's death, but also saddened by her love for him, and guilty for not forgiving him sooner. All these emotions were inside Ellie as she goes through this journey, which explains why she can't let it go, because she can't forgive herself. And she hasn't forgiven Joel. This also explains why Joel let his guard down when meeting Abby's group. He has softened over the 4 peaceful years in Jackson, but also the person he loves the most in this world finally wants to forgive him. This flashback also explains why she let Abby live. Because after seeing Abby carry Lev to the boat, just like the way Joel carried her out of that hospital, deep down, she already feels conflicted. So when she was just about to kill her, the memory of the final flashback came to her mind.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
That's how much Joel loved her. And it is also how much Abby loves Lev. Abby to Lev is just like Joel to her. And that realization is the thing that stopped her, because it reminded her of the amount of love Joel had for her.
No. Just take him.
This line, to me, is like Ellie saying to Joel, just take me. Take me from that hospital, because now I know how much you love me. As Ellie tries to play Joel's song with only 2 fingers remain, and then put it down by the window, seeing the moth on the guitar, seeing in this final scene, the whole story of part 1 and part 2 all came back to me. And I realized what the game is trying to say. It's trying to say that everyone in this world, even the one you hate, is either doing things for love or broken by it. Like a moth looking for the light in the darkness. All we are trying to do in this existence is to find love and feel whole. There is no absolute good or evil, right or wrong. Everyone is just trying their best to find what little love they can. Like the duality of love and hate, the structure of part 1 and part 2 are opposites. But more so, it shows that love and hate are 2 sides of the same coin. Joel loved Ellie so much that he killed the doctor. And Abby loved her dad so much that she killed Joel. For love, we hate. And from hate, we're pushed to love again. After Abby kills Joel, it didn't make her grief stop. Without hatred, the sadness of loss is even greater. Through the recurring nightmares, we can see that she feels deep remorse for what she did, which ultimately pushed her to save Lev and Yara. After getting the medicine for Yara's arm, we see a final dream as Abby reunites with her dad. Just like Ellie to Joel, Lev was the person that saved Abby's humanity. As the first game gets you more and more attached to the love between Joel and Ellie, the second game gets you more and more detached from Ellie and guilty for Abby. As the first game ends in a selfish act of killing, the second game ends on a selfless act of forgiving. And after all the darkness part 2 takes you through, it only reinforces and reminds you of the love between the 2 characters in part 1. That this existence is living between love and hate, which are not separated. To find the light in the darkness and see the love in each other. Like a firefly or moth, we search for and emit light with our human existence. And it is both haunting and beautiful.